Oh, hello, and welcome to Aldente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. D stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have Culicidae. So, Culicidae is by Icydice. It's on creepypasta.wiki. And it was a story that it was their first attempt at writing a journal entry creepypasta. So they invited critique and such. That's what we're going to do. But before we get too far ahead, let's do our initial recommendations. I'm gonna recommend it, like kind of bordering on almost like a high partial recommendation, but like mostly recommend.
I am going to partially recommend it.
I will also partially recommend it.
Interesting. All right, well, let's dive into why we, for the most part, partially recommend. And let's see if that changes. Starting with the rundown. The following is a log from an unnamed narrator, referred to as our norm, as Nair.
Good old Nair.
Yeah. Nair first logs that there is an unusual amount of biting mosquitoes outside, and it's ruining their summer. The next few logs then, and next few logs are also like the next few days from the previous log, reports the increasing direness and weirdness of the mosquito problem as it spreads to a potentially apocalyptic issue. The mosquitoes begin growing in population at alarming rates, forming ravenous and even cunning swarms that exsanguinate anyone who ventures out of their homes. Nair themselves is trapped in their own home, watching their neighborhood situation from the window. As broadcasts go quiet and rations start dwindling, Nair reports a worse and worse situation. The mosquito swarms are managing to break through windows of homes and devour the survivors of nearby houses. Eventually, running out of water and food, and with the swarm getting closer, Nair makes a desperate choice to run for the nearby store, which is something that others have tried but failed. But since they are apparently closer to the store than the others, they feel they might have a chance. We are left off with Nair hoping that they get a head start as the swarm seems distracted by another house. And that is the last log, and so Finn. We never find out if Nair made it or not.
We can assume that he got through and he survived.
And it turned out that this was just a localized situation.
Yeah. He didn't have to make any more notes because he won.
Yeah. It's just like the ending of The Mist. Everything was fine, except it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was the rundown. It's basically a series of logs that take place over the course of July 18th to August 4th. So, without any further ado, we move on to Everyone Tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions! At this point, and I have a couple. So, I got a question, guys. I know a gamer's idea, because we talked before recording. Mikey, did you, by any chance, categorize your Grammar Inquisition and actual thoughts by journal entry?
No, I did not, because the journal entries were really short.
Yeah,
that is fair.
Like, what kind of insane person would do that?
I don't know. Weird. So, going on my Grammar Inquisition, so we're going to start with July 19th.
Why are you laughing? Did you categorize them?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
That's the joke. Thanks.
Yeah, I
Thanks for grinding it into nothing.
So I had to make sure that it was publicly executed.
Yeah, it's that scene from Spaceballs. Everybody got that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, on the July 19th log, it's odd that they're not beings pest individually, but it's perhaps even odder than they're more out than usual today. So there's a little bit problem with those. There's some typos with that sentence. So I think it should have been it's odd that they're not being pests individually, but it's perhaps even odder that they're more out that there are more out there that there are more out than usual today. For some reason I kept wanting to say like that there are more out there than usual today. Like add an extra there. But it's not necessarily needed. But the issues is that it should be being without an S and pests with an S.
Yes.
And also that rather than with the but it perhaps even odder than they are more out than usual today. So
Man, the way that you're saying it does not sound.
I know
I think it's just because you're stumbling over your words.
it's because I'm like reading it's like, and to me my my tongue is just like how do like these words don't work well. But maybe it's just the way I'm reading it. I don't know. But I'll move on to the next one.
This needs an extra comma just to like space it out. Like, yes, flip the beings and pests, the plural around.
Yeah.
But it would read like, it's odd that they're not being pests individually, but perhaps even odder, they're out more than usual today.
Okay, so
It needs
is the
another
comma?
break
Where's the comma then?
after otter, and then
Okay.
remove than. So it's just they're more out than usual today.
But it's perhaps even odder, comma,
Or ellipses it if you want.
that they're more out than. Yeah, they're more. I think it should be that they're more out. There are more out there than usual today. I think they're actually. I think that there does need to be a there after out.
You mean the than after out?
No, I think the then can still be there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, like so.
There's no
but it's
there
for-
after out. That's what you just said. It doesn't matter. We got
Yeah,
it.
there is no there. It should be in there though. All right.
I hate words.
Welcome to our show.
Yeah.
I love how it's just evolved from like I hate the English language. I hate language. I hate words.
Words, yeah, they're just the worst.
Me hate words. Gamer in yellow. Caveman yellow.
Yeah, I'm simplifying my my taglines.
Yeah. All right, I'll move on to the next one, which is in the July 21st entry. Areas with great amount of water suffered the most. So again, this is I think a case of just like the S needs to be moved to another word. So it's like areas with great amounts of water suffered the most.
Yeah, it's weird how that happened twice in this story.
Yeah.
Like the plural was on the wrong one, but the correct one was right next to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a simple typo. I mean, that it just happens when you're typing really fast, or if you're just like, yeah, the way you're writing it, like you sometimes miss those things. You're kind of like blind to it. And then my last one is in the July 30th entry. I could starve or die of dehydration, but I still absolutely dead what's outside. I think that's supposed to be, but I still absolutely dread what's outside.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
You might actually be right. I did not see that at all.
I saw that one.
Well, I mean, I saw that line as something else, but I didn't see it as it was supposed to be dread. So I tried to rewrite it into stuff in regards to him dying.
Yeah, but I'd be absolutely dead outside. Kind of thing.
I could starve or die of dehydration, but I will absolutely die if I go outside. Like, as in, I could die if I stay in here, but I will die.
Yeah, I would accept either war because I think mine's the simpler option, like
Yeah.
the Occam's razor.
100%. I just did
Yeah.
not match that.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's the end of my grammar acquisition. So, Mikey, the E stands for evil.
All right. I don't recall where
needs
this one falls because I didn't put it in the thing.
Wow. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I should have. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
like
yeah.
wasn't that long a story.
Well, do you want me to search it so I can tell you before I do the quote? Is that what you want me to do?
Maybe.
Give me a moment. Yeah. All right. July 24th. I swear that half the time day looks like night. I just put a comma between time and day. So I swear that half the time day looks like night.
Yeah.
You see that one?
It's on July 24th.
I just look for the words he says.
Where half the time they
I don't know.
Yeah, like
I'm gonna give you a pass to the nitpick nook. There's your nook. It's over there. But
No. It smells
Charlie
like cultist over here.
Hey.
I just say that because the way that I would say that sentence, I wouldn't put a break, but you would. So we're averaging out to nitpick.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my next one here is about July 30th. Every group of people walk out of their home so far has suffered the same fate. So I rewrote it to everyone who has walked out of their home so far has suffered the same fate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds more better.
And have so far in comma out. Just so that there's more punctuation.
Yes.
All right. And then I have a conjunction junction.
All right. And next stop, conjunction junction. Doot, doot.
It's odd that they're not beings pest individually, but it's perhaps even odder than they're more out than usual today. It's annoying, honestly, and damn do they itch. It wasn't long before people began to get sick of all the mosquitoes running rampant. It started off slowly enough, and then it got worse. It sends shivers down my spine just to think about it. And when someone did try to exit their home, the mosquitoes quickly seized the opportunity to go after them, chasing them back into their house. And the buzzing. It's drowned out all the noise around me now, and it's all I hear. It's driving me insane. It seems as if there isn't a lot going on anymore. It's getting louder now, and I don't think it's just me. It's almost as if they can see me in my house. But no, it was just the windows that were being blocked off. It's been 9 days since this all began, and in those 9 days, nothing has improved. It wasn't until after then that I realized they weren't disappearing. It was raining cats and dogs. It honestly breaks my heart. It's all just a mess of skin clumped about. It wasn't pretty. It's been 4 days without food and 3 without water. Finn.
Okay. First of all, that was basically like a story version of the logs. but also like the thing where it's like it was raining cats and dogs, and it was like I was about like part like there's like a knee-jerk reaction to just like, oh yeah, it's actually raining cats and dogs, and then it like, wait, no, in the story it actually is raining cats and dogs, and that's why he's sad. I was like, oh yeah, that happens.
Although,
So like it's like very succinct. you did a much more succinct, like using the actual words from the story. You did a succinct summary of the story.
although in the context of his its story, Junkin's situation, it didn't specifically say why. It was like physically. It didn't say it was literally raining cats and dogs, so it kind of sounded like it was just raining, like wet.
And so they were just
water.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now they're wet and mosquitoes.
Oh God, that's the worst.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For those unaware, Mikey strings these sentences together to highlight all the sentences in the story that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like it's, ands, or buts. So there's always better words.
Mm-hmm. And I guess now moving on to gamers, gamer in yellow or grammar in yellow.
No,
No, ma'am. No. What? No. I'm just mark all over it.
Don't say it like that.
No, I was talking about like Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark.
I'm aware.
Okay.
Regardless, I don't have any because you got them.
Okay.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then I suppose we'll move on to actual thoughts. So we're going to start with July 19th.
Which one's that?
That's the I think the first or the second log.
Okay.
They're still flying around out there in groups. Strangely enough, I don't think I've ever seen mosquitoes in groups before. So I'm assuming the weirdness of this is that there are massive groups of like a massive group swarm of all female mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know about you guys, but like in the summers up here, we get huge amounts of just swarms of the male mosquitoes who don't bite. And they're just always amassing like in groups around our cottage.
I don't think you're understanding how much he's referring to swarms. Like a freaking nano swarm of bugs, not just like there's 5 or 6 of them.
No. You misunderstand. I don't think you're understanding how big the swarms are at our cottage in the summer of the male mosquitoes. Like there are literally thousands of them in like 3 or 4 pockets on our yard when I walk out onto the porch.
Well, I don't think you understand. I haven't been to your cottage and witnessed that myself, so I wouldn't have had the context to say that.
All right, so this summer I'm gonna have to like post a Twitter thing of a photo of it with you there. It'll just be your hand like on the photo, just like with a thumbs up. Like
down, dude.
Huh?
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down. It's like, oh God. Yeah.
So many.
That's fair. But yeah, no, they like, yeah, I'm assuming like the strangest here is like the massive swarm of like the female ones, which actually do bite, because with mosquitoes, the ones that actually bite you and suck your blood are the female ones because they're trying to get nutrients for their babies, and the male ones don't bite because their entire purpose in life is to fuck.
Hell yeah.
Is to find a mate and fuck. And then die because they only have a limited amount of. I think it's I'm either confusing them with shadflies, but they like there's some insect that swarms like that where the males only have a limited amount of oxygen because they don't have a mouth.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, they're entire. Yeah, I think I might be misconstruing mosquitoes with shadflies with that, but yeah, mosquitoes like the male ones, like the smaller male ones, like they don't bite you because that's not what their purpose is. And yeah, they usually like are in massive swarms, like clouds, basically. And they're just it's more just annoying than anything, like because you had like especially if you're biking through them.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So just imagine that's what happened, and all the mosquitoes became female.
Yeah, that's what's terrifying. That's what I'm getting at. Is like, yeah. So I'm guessing that the issue is like the weirdness and the crappiness is that it's a swarm of females. of the
There's
female
that many
mosquitoes.
females, then there's that many males that are just like laying around doing nothing and then dying.
Yeah.
Well, what if part of the issue is that something has changed in their DNA and they're not producing as many males?
And they're just producing more of the females. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that could very well explain why this happens in the story.
Yeah. I've got a couple of ideas or that were inspired from what we got in the story. So moving on to the next thing I have, in the July 21st entry, the insects become more plentiful, and not just here. I saw them on the news. This was a national pandemic that seemed to get more and more out of control by the hour. Yeah, I could this would be fucking this is not the invasion apocalypse we wanted or needed.
Does anyone want an invasion apocalypse?
I mean, so there's some preppers that are like, it's like I knew the Green Men were coming.
I suppose.
But like, it's like the zombie. It's like when people are like hoping for the apocalypse, and then we get a pandemic for like 3 years.
Thanks.
Yeah. And like people were like all those people that were gun ho for the apocalypse, like back before 2020, were like, then 2020 happened, and it's like, this is not the apocalypse I wanted.
No.
It's like, what did you expect? But yeah, just the idea of like a mosquito invasion apocalypse. It's just like, I think that's probably like the worst case. Like, kind of jumping up from what you said earlier, Mikey, with like, just imagine like the huge clouds of like biting mosquitoes. Like, yeah, that's the fucking worst case scenario. Because like, not only are you getting exsanguinated by hundreds or thousands of little bugs, if there's this many of them and they're all jumping to you, you're getting like just exsanguinated, like completely like dried up husk, like one of the bug swarms from like the Mummy movie in the 90s. And given that mosquitoes do carry diseases sometimes, like malaria and such, this is effectively just the Black Death 2.0, like that scenario. Because like back with the first Black Death, rats were getting infected by fleas with which had a virus, and then because of the sheer amount of rats around, that's what caused the bubonic plague. Was just like the disease that the rats were carrying, and the fact that there were so many of them, and like things were very unclean and such. So it's basically just not only are like people getting like eaten alive, literally, the ones that survive will get a disease or some kind of like illness as a result of being bitten and having it transmitted when they're bitten by the mosquito. So yeah, it's just no bueno.
Gonna have a bad time regardless.
Yeah. Mikey, did you have something to say that I kept interrupting?
No.
Okay. It sounded like you were trying to say something, and I kept like jumping over you.
No, I think I said everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear him do that.
Okay.
That just might be a default because that happens.
I just assume that like I'm the loudest voice in this room, so
You're the host for a reason.
Yeah, I'm the host with the most. Yes.
God damn it!
Why are we in sync today?
I don't know.
I hate it. And going on to like the unnaturalness or like the reason for this happening, like my idea anyway for like spoilers, it's gonna be some game fodder idea. In the entry of July 23rd, we get this quote here. It's like, now I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I don't think they'll ever find out why. I'm not sure, but something in my gut tells me this isn't natural. So reading this and like getting to this part, I was like kind of reminded. This story was kind of giving me vibes of a Trail of Cthulhu scenario that I've heard about. And I actually like pulled the book off my shelf because I was like, I'm pretty sure I've read something like similar to this. So in the Trail of Cthulhu book, Mythos Expeditions, there is an adventure seed in here that where the character, it's not really it's not apocalyptic, at least as far as the scenario goes, but the characters stumble into like a swamp in Africa, where they encounter an avatar. I think it's an avatar of Shub-Niggurath, known as the Mother of Malaria. And the Mother of Malaria is this giant, like, car-sized putrid mosquito larva that is spreading this like petulant mutation and causing like unnatural growth in like mosquito populations and stuff like that in the area. And I kind of want to like take the Mother of Malaria from that scenario and take this story idea and use this as like fodder for like a more apocalyptic scenario of like basically take the story as written as like maybe even an artifact that the characters can stumble upon. Like they come across a neighborhood that's been like exsanguinated, and they find like a note in like some guy's house, and then they find a body like not even like 5 feet away from the door, like to kind of hammer home that like the guy didn't make it. Yeah. Or maybe they find the guy's like corpse like inches away from the door to the store.
Of course,
yeah. But yeah, I think like because that would be like it would take that creature from this adventure in like the Trail of Cthulhu game, and you could like just like broaden the scale of the seriousness of the situation. Like they're like this is the source of the unnaturalness of what's going on here, which the story does not provide us. It just kind of this weird thing happens, and then the character has to deal with it. Ugh.
Yeah, but also in the same situation, how would the character find out?
Unless you prolong this, yeah. Unless they like were like, yeah. For this story, like
they're dude. Like if he was like a scientist or something and that does bugs and all that, and he could do research and he's locked in his lab, okay, maybe you can figure it out.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. Like unless the story kind of like becomes kind of centered around this character just happening upon the source of what's happening, which is viable, I suppose. But like I kind of with you. Like I think like as this is, I think it's fine with him not knowing what's going on, because he's not the hero.
Yeah,
this is just a survival tale. Oh, this is just an ex survival. Yeah, I was an ex survival tale.
Yeah.
Of this situation.
I dare say the story would be worse if he found out why.
Yeah, because like it leaves us guessing.
It in.
Yeah,
and also that less is more.
Yeah, less is more, especially when it comes to horror. Like you don't want to show too. You don't want to show too much because you want to leave it to the imagination of the reader.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I wouldn't mind like seeing kind of like how like I wouldn't mind seeing like more like journal entries like this, like from other survivors, like in other situations, because I feel like this could be like as it is right now, it's fine, but like I would like to see like kind of like an anthology of the age of mosquitoes.
Wouldn't they all be basically the same story though?
There could be like room for like things to happen in it. Like they most of them probably would be the same like kind of like thing. Like the guy's just like hunkered in their room. But I mean like that's where the creativity comes in. Like find more interesting like reasons, like more interesting scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe somebody managed to get to their truck and like managed to keep the bugs away by going fast enough, and they get out of like their town. And like they get out of the swarm cloud that's like completely invaded their town. They get out onto the main strip, only to see the next town is also covered in a swarm.
Yeah,
it's like, and this is my last entry. I'm just gonna go. I'm just going for it. But yeah, like I'm not to say like the story is like there should be more, but like. This is just like the story got my gears going for like what could be more.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll move on to the next thing I have. Oh, that. Gamer, did you say something? Or are you trying to say something?
No.
Okay, I swore I heard like like on your track saying like you're like
Nah, I'm just chilling.
Okay. Then I'll move on to the next thing I have here. So for July 24th log, As soon as it started, it ended. Within seconds of beginning their assault, they moved away from the man, and I saw what has happened. That should actually be what had happened. Welcome to my tense talk. Lying on the ground where the man once stood was a thin layer of gray skin. Its only shape being the brittle bones protruding from it. I nearly threw up from the sight of this. How can something like this happen? And to this, I was just like, called it. Exsanguination. Like just from like many people, like many bugs, like just exsanguinating a person like on moss. And also, as I kept reading the story, like I started getting the vibe of like a Junji Ito manga. Like I could easily see this story being illustrated in his style as like as one of his horror manga, because like a lot of Junji Ito stories, they are like they kind of like play out like this, like something unusual happens with something otherwise banal, like in some cases it's like a shape, like a spiral drives people insane, and like he did like an entire series of just like people like a different facets of a spiral driving people insane in this town, and then it turned out that the spiral was like a cosmic horror monster. And like there's other stories that he's done where like it kind of just felt like this kind of, I was kind of getting the same kind of vibe as like a Junji Ito story where like somebody is trapped in their house, they don't know what to do, and they're just seeing this like outlandish thing that would otherwise not be like normal. Like it's just a bunch of bugs, but like the way people are like trying to escape it, and like the way the narrator is reacting to it, it felt very much like a Junji Ito story. So yeah, I kind of dug that, like about the story. It was kind of giving me that kind of vibe. And I guess for anybody who doesn't know, Junji Ito is a Japanese horror manga artist who does like cosmic horror in kind of a similar vein. Like he did an entire series, not just of a spiral like driving people insane, but of just a regular like of a girl who just drives people insane and want to kill her. And the only thing weird about her, like she doesn't do anything to drive them insane. She just exists, and people want to like go, like people just kind of devolve into a homicidal rage against her. But when they cut her up, she just grows back.
Almost sounds like an SCP a little bit.
She's kind of it's kind of SCP-ish. And like those are kind of like just the stories. Like he has like a whole like slew of like short stories that are like similar, that not in the same like thing, but like where he just takes something random or like something like otherwise banal and just makes them cosmic horror or like really creepy. And that's kind of what the vibe I got from this. So with that style, but I'll move on to the next thing I have. So for July 25th, I swear there were more of them out now. I swear there's more of them now. Sometimes they bang against the glass of my window. It's almost as if they can see me in my house. They couldn't possibly see me, right? I know they've been acting strange lately, but they couldn't be that intelligent. They're just insects after all. To this, I was like, I mean, they do have eyes. Mosquitoes aren't blind. And like they are, and they like, even if like this is like they're, even if they aren't intelligent, like even if it's not some kind of like weird, like they've suddenly become like hyper intelligent, like they are a predatory animal. And you are a food source that they know, that they have had millennia or like thousands of years to know. These walking pale apes or these walking hairless apes are a food supply. So like they know what the shape is, so I would assume that they'd know to go after you. Now it can be seen like because mosquitoes often like they're actually more attracted, they come after humans more because of like the carbon dioxide exchange that we have. They're actually that's how they actually sniff us out some in most cases, rather than like I think see us. But like they still have eyes. They still have those weird creepy compound eyes. I assume they can like see us. So yeah,
I also thought it was weird that like bringing up the sight thing.
Yeah,
like I kind of get what it's talking about, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, again, it is like maybe because again, like I said, I think mosquitoes do rely more on smell than sight. Hence why you put out like citronella candles and stuff like that, because it drives this that scent is overpowering and they can't stand it. And
Regardless,
again,
this dude's just Joe Blow.
Yeah, that's again. He's also he's Joe Blow. Like he's just
know any of the like weird specifics. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
it just seemed weird.
Yeah, and then the last thing here for July 26th, a small group of men came out of their house today, and it goes on with like what happened to them. So this is something that came up throughout the story. I feel like I would have liked to have some specific names to people and family residents, so that we might be a little bit more. It might be a little bit more engaging in the story than just some men down the street or a house down the road. Like I would have liked to like the Dennison brothers came out of their house today, or I saw a swarm heading towards the O'Keefe house earlier today. Like naming the victims, what I think would be more effective in like that. They would make it more personal to the narrator, that like they know the people that are dying out there. Like so it would add a little bit more gravity to the situation for the reader, because we know that Nair knows these people and these people are dying. Like it would and it like not even like don't have to give us like a whole like sob story or anything like that. Like I think it's that kind of like, for me, I think it would be sort of like the difference between like a cardboard cutout, like, they're just names to a cardboard piece, or like this character just doesn't like, there's too much vagary, I think, in the story for me to like really like care that the people are dying. Like, I mean, I care that the people are dying because of the actions that's happening and stuff like that. But I think the names would like add an extra like personal horror to it. If Nair actually like named people that were dying.
I'm gonna name him George. I'm gonna name him Bill.
Yeah, it's like, well, George, Greg, and Keith just ran out their house and went for their car. And old man Smithers tried to run to the store, and he didn't last 5 feet away from his house. It's like poor Smithers. But yeah, like that kind of, or like when like the one house is getting swarmed, and suddenly like it's like, oh man, the O'Keefe's house just got swarmed, and then like they just all vanished, and then I realized they didn't vanish; they went inside the house, and there goes the O'Keefes. I can still hear their screaming. Cut short, like that kind of like
that this guy knows literally everyone.
Well, he doesn't know everybody, like a couple of people at least.
Yeah,
or even I
mentioned that like the swarms down the street. I don't remember their name, but they were nice to me. Oh God, he died.
Yeah, or it's like I don't know his name. I can't remember his name, but I've always like seen him on my walks to the store or something like that, and like he always says hi. Like, yeah, you don't have to know like necessarily even name the person, but like give us a little bit more to like personalize the horror that's going on, because that's kind of what the story's all about. Is like a personal horror of like being trapped in your own house, in your own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Also, I'm curious for you guys, how did you envision the layout of this neighborhood?
It was literally just a street, like a straight street with houses that line the sides, and just like in the city.
Okay.
I did not see it like my own neighborhood.
I kind of saw it as a cul-de-sac. Like, and like he's at like the end of the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
I don't know
why.
No, I don't know. I was just curious, because like that's what like my mental image went, like my go-to mental image for it was. And then like at the end of the story, he was like saying that he was like the closest to the store. So it was like, well, I mean, like maybe like his backyard is like neighboring a street, like neighboring the street that like he can like run across his backyard and like hop a fence, or like go hop over to like the next street over, and that's where the store is, kind of thing, right? So like
store literally right next to him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On the cul-de-sac.
I mean, it might be more in town.
Yeah, that was also maybe like, because it's just weird that like Yeah, because like, and then like I almost had an instance of like with Gamer, like where I had to change my image of the world, but it didn't bug me as much as it would Gamer. Where like I was like, okay, this is in the cul-de-sac. This is probably just a stretch of road, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the idea. I think I'll still stick with the cul-de-sac, and he's like getting ready to like run through his backyard to get to the next street over because that's where the store is. But yeah, I just like maybe just a little bit more. I think in the story for like just a few more details might have made it just add a little bit extra spice to it.
But here's the thing, it's a journal entry.
Yeah,
and in this situation where this dude is recording this information about these mosquitoes, why would he specify so much about the layout of his town?
no, you're right. But
like, unless you introduce that in a more natural way.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like he could have like well, I'm gonna run to my backyard or I'm debating whether I should like just book it out my back door to get to the store since it's the closest way there. So I think like you could do that, kind of add a little bit more layout to it, or like. Yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably like kind of overcomplicating like this Joe Blow like average guy who's trapped in his house, and so like immersion wise, this is fine the way it is because it's how somebody would probably jot down some like daily log about like this weirdness that's going on.
But you can get around that by having events happen that force him to describe the area.
Yeah,
saying like at the end of the street this happened, so okay, you know that he's not at the end of the street,
yeah,
or,
like
that sort of thing.
Because like the way I kind of got is like like the mosquito swarm is slowly making its way down the road to him. I think that's why I got the cul-de-sac thing, but it could easily be again, like you said, like just a strip of road that he's on. And he's looking like to the right of his house and seeing the swarm coming.
Kind of felt like the swarm was just sort of randomly attacking houses.
Yeah.
So
a little bit.
It's not that he's far away and like it's not like it's a fog rolling in. They're just randomly attacking, and they just happen to be like down the road,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But it's not directly said that they're randomly attacking.
Yeah.
But that would be something that you could bring up.
Yeah, like it's because like maybe they are making their rounds down the road, but like as soon as they see activity, like some like random resident tries to like make a run for it, that's when they converge on that one point, take it out, and then they resume their slow travel or their slow like hunting path, I guess. I don't know. But that's really all I got for the story. So, Mikey, these stands for evil. Your actual thoughts.
All right. So, in regards to, I think something was said earlier, but there being multiple towns affected by this.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes are territorial.
Mm-hmm.
So if they came up with a solution to take out the mosquitoes, it would only be effective in one area at a time.
Oh God. Yeah. So it's, yeah. Unless, of course, again, like there's something unnatural going on, and like all the mosquitoes are tied to a hive mind. Mm-hmm. So you take out the source, you take out the mosquitoes.
Yeah. And my next note here is like in regards to what was just said is like, why are the mosquitoes going after other spots and not him when they clearly are tapping on his window?
Yeah, like he said that they specifically broke through like the glass windows of a car, and they broke into another house. Yet they're staring at him, and they're not going after him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only thing, yes, sorry.
No, continue.
The only thing I can think of is like maybe like they've detected other people like closer to their swarm than him. Like maybe they've sent out some feelers, basically. Like that's what the mosquitoes, like the ones that are like banging on his window. They're just like kind of like scouts, and like there are like he's not the only one hiding in his house. Like other people are like also at their windows jotting logs.
Maybe they haven't attacked his house specifically right now because he's living there alone, where other houses have family members, like 4 or 5 people living there, so there's a lot more blood there.
Yeah.
So they're just leaving him a snack for later.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah, that's about all you can do. Because if there's more people, there's more carbon dioxide, and they more tasty meal for them. All right. So my next thing here is based on the July 27th, when the mosquitoes start entering houses. That's when they also should have started entering his house. Like, if not that day, then the next day, because like they found ways to get in. And the key fact there is that houses aren't airtight.
Yeah, they're not hermetically sealed. There's vents. There's yeah.
So they would find a way into his house, and the biggest one is like the vents on the roof.
Yep.
They would likely get in there, and then so you start hearing the buzzing in the attic, and then they make their way into the walls. Like, that could have been like a very tense moment where I can hear them buzzing in the walls. Like,
yeah, that's why he's hearing it. So maybe that's why he's hearing it so loud as well. Is like they're in the or like we could have had a log where like they went into the walls, so he started like blocking all the vents and stuff like that. And now he's like over like a day, he's managed to make his entire house, as far as he can tell, or like the area he's in, as airtight as possible. But the problem is, he's made it airtight, so he's got a limited oxygen supply.
Yeah,
interesting way to take it. Yeah,
and so like and then he like the next day he realizes, shit, I've made my safe home a death trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been
a form of dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's the mosquitoes sort of discriminating and not choosing him, even though they likely know he's there.
Yeah.
So
they're toying.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get to you, buddy. Don't worry. We're gonna finish the rest of the neighborhood first.
Yeah. So like that's the biggest issue I have with this story.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm only giving this a partial, because of that. Why aren't they going into his house?
Yeah.
Like, they've already started entering other people's houses. Why not his?
Yeah, and the way they break into other people's houses is kind of like the most like inefficient way for them to do it. Like, they break through the glass. Like, and I could see that. Like, if there's enough if there's enough there's enough density to the swarm, I could buy, like, these things are like we've already kind of been giving sort of a an unnatural like angle here, like because they're doing something like really fucked up. I could buy that, like, with enough numbers, a swarm of insects could probably break through a glass window.
I say that they focus on windows because it's a simple animal that's just trying to get the fleshy people inside. It can see the fleshy people through the window, so it attacks the people and breaks through the window.
Yeah,
but we've already established that mosquitoes use smell, so they would go to the vents.
Yeah, because they'd be finding the carbon dioxide exchange, or like the that scent. So
I'm just basically justifying why they're attacking windows to get into things.
No, for sure,
for the story.
Yeah. They suddenly like lost some of the animal intelligence they would have otherwise, like, because like normal insects and normal like like mosquitoes or ants and all that, like they do like scout around and try and find like around a building like the easiest way of ingress.
Mhm.
So but like maybe like they become like this like intelligent hunter swarm kind of thing, but they've lost some of their animal instinct to do of like searching for like certain areas. But like yeah, for the story I can still buy like they go after the windows. But
All right, so that's the end of my actual thoughts.
okay. Gamer.
Okay. For my first one, I forgot that I actually did have a grammar related thing that I wasn't really.
How dare you? No.
Yeah, sorry. Basically, just in the first section, there's maybe it's not just the first section. Regardless, there's like 5 or 6 small sentences that really should be put together. That's the long and short of that. Like, I know that this is a journal entry, and if this is like a pencil and paper style journal, it really wouldn't be worth it to erase his sentences to like recombine them to be more grammatically proper because it is a journal. But
yeah.
That being said, tiny sentences, click them together. That's my thing.
Yep.
But yeah, either way, it's a journal, so it's passable because that's the way that this character talks. Whatever. Moving on to actual notes. So, in regards to the guy running from his house and getting attacked, and being like exsanguinated and dead on the ground, he's a pile of bones and skin, right?
Yeah.
I feel like he wouldn't be down to literally just skin and bones. Like they sucked his meat out of him.
Yeah, like the meat. Yeah, I do agree. Like I did find that kind of odd. Like the meat didn't just shrivel and like become jerky. Like his he should still have a little bit more like meat on him.
Yeah, the way it was described, it was literally just bones and skin, and his meat was gone.
Yeah.
Like so, if they're just draining him dry of blood, I feel like the worst it would be is he's dead, his skin's pale, no blood on his body, like not shrivel him up like he's a cartoon character.
But wouldn't he shrivel up because he would no longer have any moisture in his body?
Yeah,
he'd more like a mummy.
Yeah. Jinx.
Yeah, but it's not going to be like if you freaking put a handkerchief on a pencil. Like that's not. It wouldn't be shriveled up that much, right?
No,
that's how it was described to me. It's literally just skin and bone with no meat in there at all. So the worst it would be is like anorexia kind of deal, like that skinniness.
Yeah.
Mummy. Yeah, I do agree. Like I feel like I did kind of think it was weird. Like he was just skin and like bone protruding. It's like there should be a little bit of meat left on there because like the organs wouldn't be gone. They'd just be like jerky, like I keep saying.
That being said, this is all also me thinking about like with real life logic into this, because in this world, who knows what these mosquitoes are capable of? Maybe they literally are sucking like the meat out of them as well.
Just picturing it's like that. I think it's from Lethal No, not it's from Spy Hard. Huh?
Okay.
With Leslie Nielsen. I think that's the one with Leslie Nielsen where he like has to, he's given a
blood transfusion.
Oh yeah, blood transfusion, and there's like a big burly guy that he's getting the blood transfusion, and that guy just like deflates, like complete, like no bones whatsoever. He just like we're just completely like it's just like a suit that was blown up, and it's just like slowly deflated. Yeah,
pretty much, yeah. But yeah, these mosquitoes are weird, so who knows what they're capable of, but if it is a form of literal standard mosquitoes, I feel like the worst it's going to be is a shriveled up dude, not literally just skin and bone.
Yeah.
And my last one is in regards to like the quote unquote rain and such. I followed these dots as they fell through the air, and then they became larger until they hit the ground with a sickening splat. I then saw what they were: 4 legs, tails, gray, dry, mummified skin. It was raining cats and dogs. When I read that, I'm like, okay, is this a comedy now? Like, dead pets aside, making them literally make it rain cats and dogs is a bit silly.
See, you think it's silly? I think it's a fucking that's a like a sick fucking terrifying like description. Like
Okay, but
I
like,
don't like I yes it's gallows humor, I think is more what it is. So it's like dark, like there's some dark humor to it. But like that at the same time, like they're like I could see somebody delivering that with no fucking humor in their voice.
it's not that I get it. Dead animals, that's not cool. It's
Yeah.
the fact that the mosquitoes are choosing to pick up animals, bring them hundreds of feet into the sky, and drop them. Why? When they could just, like the humans on the ground, they weren't picking them up. They were just swarming them, sucking them dry, and leaving them there. Why are they doing this to animals aside from just this being dramatic?
I wonder if maybe it's, I mean, yes, like for the dramaticness of it aside, maybe like they can't pick up a human. Like maybe
They
like
can
the
break through
because
glass.
well yeah, but like that's not, you still can't, like even they can break glass, like that's not picking up like 100 or 200 pound person. An
Regardless,
animal
what is
usually
the
is like under 60
advantage?
pounds.
What is
So
the advantage of picking up an animal and bringing it hundreds of feet into the sky? It doesn't do anything. It's just silly.
yeah, I think honestly that's the part of that is like where I get the Junji Ito stuff, because like it's absurdist horror. Like it, like why is this, like this is kind of silly, but it's also horrific, and it's not treated funny. It is yeah, technically a joke. I did quote fingers, but it's treated with seriousness.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't see it very serious in my opinion.
fair.
Because like, yeah, as I said before, yeah, dead pets not good.
Mhm.
They're not necessarily pets though. I'm assuming they're strays because I
Yeah,
would
no,
think
I did.
that
Yeah,
people would have their pets inside with them at this point.
yeah, no, I was thinking it was like, yeah, whatever animals were left outside when this all happened.
Well,
So
it's like 10 days later, so these are not any pets. Like everyone would have their animals in by now, or the animals would already be gone.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't like this bit.
all right, fair.
The most realistic thing I could come up with is they're basically fighting over the food, and they're
Yeah,
like dragging it back and forth. But it doesn't describe it like that. It describes it like they just grab him, lift him up, and drop him just for the fun of it.
I think that would have made, because otherwise they're just being sadistic. But but like I do kind of think like that extra little detail of like them like the animal bodies being like kind of risen up into the air and like moving in a weird erratic way, almost like the swarm is like fighting over it. I think that would have been an extra, like I think that would have added to the scene.
I guess, but I also don't think that they even would fight over it because, like, they just swarm the damn thing, plug into it, drain them, and leave them. Like, they tell the humans how quickly there wouldn't be time to fight over it. They would just swarm the damn thing, drain it, leave it, move on. Like, that's the whole fear of these creatures here is how quickly they attack you and just end you. So they wouldn't have time to bring them up hundreds of feet into the sky and drop them. It's just straight
Yeah.
up weird.
Okay, I'm not trying to fight you on this or like trying like, no, you're wrong, but another idea I just came up with for like why they're lifting up the animals rather than the people. I think animals can generally move faster than people when it comes to dealing with like something like this. So maybe they're bringing them up so that they can't run or get away as easily as they would be if they were on the ground.
Okay, but they could just lift them an inch off the ground.
True, yeah.
There's a simple explanation. This happens in the Super Pets universe. So
Okay.
pets can fly.
So it was actually, the pets are actually flying. It's not that they're being lifted up into the air by the mosquitoes. It's that they're trying to escape into the sky and
Yeah, the
not
mosquitoes
making
are
it.
just attacking the flying pets. That makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah. That's fine. I mean, again, like you're allowed not to like this scene. So
Yes.
yeah.
But that's the end of my notes.
Okay. Well, then I guess we'll move on to final thoughts. It's a bit short, but to me it was very immersive, and it does convey the situation in a log medium pretty well. Like even like my issues like with the story, there is some room I feel for improvement. Like some extra details could be added, or some extra bits could be added to like kind of flourish it a little bit more, to make it a little bit more just up the horror a little bit. But otherwise, I think I'm still gonna like partially recommend on the on the high end. Not quite a full recommendation, because I think there could be some room for improvement, but it's a pretty decent partial recommendation. Holy shit!
The hell was that?
Something just fell off my shelf randomly. Yeah, I'm just gonna put that back.
When's the last time you touched that?
When I put it up there months ago. It was it's a game. It's like a PC game cassette for the Secret World, and it just came crashing.
The thing that has like bees, flying insects in them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't hear a buzzing, but anyway, yeah. So get it? Yeah, I think the story is like it's worth checking out, but there is definitely some room for improvement. But that's going to be my recommendation. A partial on the high end. Mikey.
Well, just thinking about it, another scene that could have been added would be a flock of birds.
Yeah.
Like, show a flock of birds being decimated by the swarm, and you go, oh.
Yeah, because you done fucked up if because like mosquitoes, like again, thinking back on my experience at the cottage, in the mornings, the birds, like you constantly see birds like flying low over the water, because that's where usually where the mosquito swarms like kind of populate, is over like the water and stuff like that, and you're constantly seeing them swoop down and like just picking off the insects for food. So to see like a flock of birds, like crows, seagulls, like any kind of bug eating bird, a swarm of those just go into the swarm like after them, and then like just come out the other end falling and desiccated.
Yep.
That would be fucking terrifying.
And that
there's
that would give us the same scene as the quote unquote bringing in cats and dogs, but it wouldn't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because there'd be no silly, I'm going to lift it up into the sky situation. Kill them in the sky so they fall.
Fair.
Yeah. So yeah. As I said before, my biggest issue that I had with this was the fact that he somehow seems to survive over 6 or 7 days.
9 days.
Well, no, from July 27th.
Oh yeah.
Like from basically once they start entering people's houses, he survives that. I don't have it up right now to figure it out.
Yeah, let's see. So it's July 18th, and then
it's August 4th.
August 4th. So that's
July 27th to August 4th.
Yeah, July 27th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think about 8 or 9 days from July 27th to August 4th.
Yeah, so it escalates to a point where they're entering the houses, yet not his house, and he somehow is scot-free for those 9 days.
Yeah, they're just being like real slow. They're just like methodic.
You see, the mosquitoes wanted to make sure that their legend was known, and they knew this guy was writing their story. That's why they were watching him.
Exactly. Yeah, they saw him through the window, like going there. It's like we should definitely like just like screw with this guy.
Yeah.
That's why they did their cats and dogs. They're like, let's be really fucked up. Let's fucking do it. Let's do a morbid joke and just pick up all the animals that we can find and just drop them after we're done with them.
See, if they're that intelligent, that actually makes more sense now.
Yeah, that again, I think that adds to like the weird like the sadist like unnatural like intelligence behind the swarm. But yeah.
So because of that, I can only give it a partial recommendation. Like I like the idea of there being swarms of mosquitoes that take people out.
Yeah.
But there could be so much more to this.
Yeah.
Like up the horror factor. As we explained, like having a flock of birds be eaten,
yeah,
or even having the buzzing happening inside the walls.
Yeah, because they have made their way into the house.
Yeah. Like that to me would have upped the horror factor, and I would have given this a full recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
That had much more of a horror element to it. Not just oh, I'm looking through the window. Oh, there goes the neighbor. Okay.
Yep, there goes the next neighbor. Yeah, there goes the neighborhood. Like it's a good start.
Yeah.
Like I feel like what we have here is a good start. But yeah. All right. And then Gamer.
Well, for me, it was the way it was described, it was pretty easy to get in the shoes of Nair, honestly. Like, everyone hates mosquitoes, then. And the concept of them swarming to these levels is concerning, to say the least. Unfortunately, it, to me, kind of jumped the shark when it started doing the rain, quote-unquote, and the immersion and quote-unquote realism of all this kind of dropped off with that, in my opinion. Let me read. The immersion and the quote-unquote realism dropped off at that point in favor of them being able to throw bodies all over the place. Like the gore kind of the want to have the gore there kind of took place over realism. But again, that's my opinion. Everything else though, quite good. It's a survival story. You're stuck in your home while all you can do is just watch as things go from bad to worse, and that's cool. But it does need a little bit of tweaks. Grammar's not that bad, and grammar gets a pass anyways because it's a journal entry.
It's the way the writer writes.
Yeah, exactly.
the way the layman jots down his journal.
It doesn't roll off the tongue very well, but yeah. With that change of the cats and dogs being birds being attacked, that would be a lot better, and I would give this full recommendation. But as it is, I can't get my head past their want to lift up animals and drop them for no reason. So
you just can't get over it.
I can't. Yeah. It literally ruined the story for me personally.
That's
unfortunate. Not to the point of disliking it, because everything else I did like. It's just not as good as it could be because of it.
Okay. So still partial? Sorry. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
But at least I know how I would give it a full recommendation with Mikey's recommendation of birds.
Yeah. So I think for me, the addition of the birds is fine. For you, replace the cats and dogs with birds.
Yes. That needs to be replaced 100%. If you want to show the random animals getting killed, that's fine. Just have them dead on the ground like the humans. And with the addition that you said, Cultist, of him trying to like hermetically seal his own house and being like, "Oh shit, this is making it worse for me." And
it's like
bugs in the walls, like that also makes it way better.
Yeah. There's just a few extra details I think would like, and a few like few little fixes and a few additions would like go a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, so I guess that's our recommendations. Basically, all around partial recommendations, kind of in various like levels. But overall, partial recommendation. And that has been this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're all on Twitter, so you can send us messages there. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W at the end because his name is very long.
Yeah, it's got to be though.
Yeah. And I'm at Review Cultist. If you'd like to send us emails, you can send them at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah. And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. Look up Al Dente Rigamortis and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content. For our patrons that help support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void. And as this story suggested at the very top of on the wiki, if you didn't write these stories and post them online to be looked at by people and like critiqued and such, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stand for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.
Before you do that, I don't even remember what the conjunction junction bit is. It's been that long. It's always been in post. What is it?
And next stop, Conjunction Junction. Doot, doot.
Nice. I don't think I've ever heard that.
I did it once. And I never had to do it again because I clipped that audio and have used it every time.
Excellent. I've never heard that. I thought you were gonna this whole time it was like the ripoff from where I got that, which is like conjunction junction. What's your function?
No, I didn't go that hard.
Yeah,
I went a little more original.
Yeah, you absolutely should. Please continue though.
Okay.